It is the series that all other series look to when they want to be dark, and they always fail at emulating it properly. They always think it... The top 10 foreign language TV series. That shouldn't be hard to work out, right? Let's go. Hi guys, and welcome to the Reykjavik review, where I discuss exclusively foreign language TV shows and movies. But today we're talking TV shows only. We're talking the top 10 as judged by me and my entirely subjective opinion. So you can write whatever you like in the comments, okay? I don't care, it's good for the algorithm. But do not write, hey, you forgot this. Alright, either I haven't seen it, in which case I can't include it in the list, or it's just not good enough for this list, and you're going to have to deal with it. How I made this list was on the strength of the entirety of the existing seasons. So, if a show had an excellent first season and a terrible second season, Money Heist, that might be not in this list or lower on this list than you would otherwise expect. There's also a technicality as we move right towards the top that I'm going to have to explain when we get there. Anyway, let's not stuff around and draw this out for longer than needs be because it's hot and I need a beer. Starting with number 10, Dark from Germany. Look, Dark is a great show, and I know I've triggered some people by not putting it higher on my list. Probably some people assumed it would be number 1. Not happening. I mean, it's on the list, right? I just don't think it's quite as good as people tend to say it is. I personally think it's overrated. That doesn't mean I think it's bad. That just means I don't think it's as good as it's cracked up to be. And especially with the very, very end of a particular episode. It was childish, it was stupid, and it probably dropped about 5 places on this list due to that. That's all I need to say about it. Dark is a great show. It could be better. Let's move on. Number 9 is The Killing from Denmark. Now, The Killing is not my favorite Nordic Noir. There are others that are higher on this list. But in a way, it is the Nordic Noir. It is so dark. It is the series that all other series look to when they want to be dark, and they always fail at emulating it properly. They always think it... So let's see if that book stays up there. Anyway, I can't really remember what I was saying about The Killing, other than that it is very, very dark, and properly dark. Not just desperate, it's actually bleak. It makes it look as though, even if they catch the person and all the things go technically right, it's just not a nice situation to be in. Sarah Lund and her big jumper, they just portray the whole thing really well. There's something about The Killing, even though the first season is much too long in my opinion, and it's not actually very intertwined. They basically just go through a very long list of suspects, but seasons 2 and 3 really pick up the pace. They're not only shorter, but they also just have more kind of in-depth stuff happening, and it's worth getting through season 1 so that you can get to season 2, and in particular season 3, which has probably the best ending of any series that is on this list. I love The Killing, particularly for that ending and the seasons 2 and 3. Oh, I didn't mention this book that I'm very, very keen for. It's actually by the author of the script for The Killing, and they've tried to claim it twice there on the cover. It says by the author of Brottet, which is The Killing, and The Killing. Like, what? And that brings us to number 8, which is Nobel from Norway. Nobel is one of the best looking series that I've ever seen, especially the title sequence. I know it's a weird thing to specifically point out, but you watch the title sequence, you'll see what I mean. Oh, damn. The way that Nobel is shot and edited is one of those that is really gritty, but still really nice to look at. The script is good. It's not quite as well-rounded as you would hope given how good the visuals are, but it's still a very solid, fairly short series, and it wraps up very nicely. There's no need for a second season. It's just a very well-rounded series. Nobel from Norway. Number 7 is Undercover from Belgium / the Netherlands. This one really surprised me because a lot of stuff on Netflix has become really cheap and childish and just shallow in my opinion. Undercover was the opposite of that. Things took time to unfold. Things were in depth. No series has really made me think about the ethics of police officers undercover so much as this show has. Something I really liked about this series is that once we're a few episodes in, almost every scene has multifaceted effects. It's not just that that's going to lead to this, it's that that's going to lead to A, B, C, and D. So it's very intricate. The end was a little bit cheap, I will say that, but it wasn't as cheap as some other series that I've mentioned already, but Undercover from Belgium and the Netherlands is a good show. Looking forward to season 2. Let's move on. Number 6 is Fauda from Israel. It is in Hebrew and Arabic, and it is hardcore, man. What I love about this series is that it's violent, yes, but it doesn't feel forced. If someone gets killed in this series, it's because they got in the way of the people with guns, and the people with guns killed them. It's that simple. It's as much mercy shown to the characters here as would actually be shown by the Israeli Defense Force or Islamic terrorists. That's just the way life is in those places, and that is what's portrayed here. It's the opposite of something like Money Heist, where SWAT teams will stand around threatening to kill people with guns, and you're like, no, that doesn't happen. They just shoot. The script is good. The acting is good. The camera work and the effects are amazing. We're moving well and truly into rewatch territory from here on in. Moving on to number 5, Au service de la France, or In Service to France. In English, it's called A Very Secret Service. It's about the French Secret Service in the 1960s, the Cold War kind of era, and it is hilarious. But it's actually a really good espionage series as well. It's very intricate and well thought out. I've never laughed so much at a series that I could also take seriously. Season 2 especially was very, very clever, and I'm looking forward to a season 3 if they ever make one. Oh, I totally forgot to mention the language on that one. Au service de la France. Surely I don't need to mention it. It's in Turkish. Number 4 is another Flemish-speaking Belgian series. What is with Flemish Belgians and the ability to make really good, solid TV series, but then move across a river or a mountain range or something into French-speaking Belgium, and you get, Anyway, I am of course talking about Tabula Rasa for number 4. It has all the elements that a good mystery needs, and none that a good mystery doesn't need. None of the elements wrap up too quickly. None of them are too obvious. None of them are irrelevant. Additionally, the photography is good, very strange, very off-putting. The music is eerie as hell. The acting is good. Tabula Rasa is a well-deserved number 4 on my list. Number 3 is Trapped from Iceland. If you've been around on this channel before, you may know that it is, in a roundabout sort of way, named after Trapped. RVK Studios made Trapped. This is the Reykjavik review. So you might be wondering, why isn't it number 1? Well, remember, strength of seasons combined. There are 2 seasons to Trapped. Season 2 was not quite as good as season 1. It was still very good. But really, it's not the scripts of Trapped that make it what it is. The scripts are good, no doubt, especially the first season. But what makes Trapped special is the fact that the people behind it are artists. They don't just show us things that happened. You could read a book if you wanted to just hear how things happened. They show us things in a way that is going to have the most meaning, or the meaning that they want us to feel. They make us feel everything in this series. Even the composers, Hildur Gudnadottir and Johan Johansson, and the Dutch guy, I can't remember his name, they really think about how are they going to write this music so that you feel the weight of the things happening here. This series is nothing short of art. If you look at the first episode, the first scene of the first episode, why show us that if not to make us feel it? It's what so many other series don't understand. You can't just show us things and expect us to care. You have to make us care. Trapped does that better than any other series, even the next 2 on this list. Yeah, okay, you can judge me, but you don't live here. It is seriously hot. It'd be a lot cooler if you turn the light off. I'm still filming. Number 2 is The Bridge from Sweden and Denmark. I'm sure you knew it was coming at some point. It is sitting right there on my shelf. There isn't a lot I can say about this series that has not been said before. I mean, how good does a series need to be that 2 years after its original coming out, there were 2 English language remakes of it? I mean, is that really necessary that it's that good? But why would you watch the English language remakes? I mean, the original and the best is right there for you to watch. 4 seasons. The 4th season was not as strong as the other 3, but it was still very, very good, which is why it's above Trapped on this list. It is 4 very strong seasons across the whole thing. There are a few little things that are like, okay, that's not really realistic, there's no way that could happen, but this series is way too exciting and interesting for you to care. It is genuinely one of the best series of all time, not just foreign language series, just series in general. Moving to number 1, and this is the most controversial entry, and it's not because I'm just trying to be controversial. It's because I wanted to include this series, but I didn't know if I genuinely should, because truth be told, around 70 to 80% of it is in English. However, none of it takes place in England, and none of it is even filmed in England. I do believe that they filmed it using the proper locations, and a lot of the actors are from France and Germany. I am, of course, talking about The Missing. Oh my goodness. In the end, I decided it was fair to include it on this list, because people who generally only watch things in English are not going to have seen The Missing. Yes, it is primarily in English, but it is properly a foreign series in that it's sort of at least foreign to people's experience. It is so far outside of the normal crime genre. Yes, it is a mystery, but the writing is a cut above basically anything else, even on this list. It is so intricate. I think of this series as like the Prestige of TV series. They show you everything at just the right time so that it doesn't show you too much and it doesn't show you too little. When you have questions, you get answers to those questions that open up more questions. And there's just questions on top of questions, but none of them are because they don't have answers, which some series do. They think they're clever because they say, oh, you didn't think that was coming. I'm like, that's because it's dumb. The thing that propelled The Missing to the top of this list is the combination of both seasons. Because season 2 is not at all like season 1. It doesn't copy a skerrick from season 1, yet it feels like the same series. You can acknowledge that you're watching part of the same thing, and that is really, really hard to do when they're both so original. It reminds me of a friend when he saw a particular movie and he was telling me that I needed to see it. He was saying, I've never seen a movie in which I was so confused about how the things on screen were taking place in some way that made sense, and he assumed that there was no way for it to make sense. The Missing is quite like that. You're watching it thinking, this can't work, this can't be something that could actually happen. And then it is, and they do it not just in season 1, but season 2. It's incredible. I could talk about The Missing all day, but of course I won't. I will just finally say that they do not shy away from touchy topics, and I mean really touchy topics. Watch the first season and you'll see what I mean. The Missing, from Britain / playing out in France and Germany, is top of this list, number 1. So that was my top 10 foreign language or almost foreign language TV shows. If you like foreign language TV shows, which quite frankly you must unless you're some kind of freak who's locked yourself in full screen and you don't know how to get out of this video, because otherwise how did you make it this far? You should hang around and subscribe, because that's what this channel is all about. But if you like languages themselves also, then you should head over to my other channel called Days of French and Swedish, where I talk about languages and how to learn them. You can of course also leave me a comment. I don't really care if you do say that I forgot something. You're just wrong. I didn't forget it. I probably haven't seen it, or it's not included. But leave me a comment and let me know what your top 10 are, if you can be bothered putting them in order, or just what your top 3 are, or just what your top 1 is, or anything like that, and I'll try and get back to you, because I do like discussing stuff with people. That's why I started this channel. And until next time, where you'll see more reviews coming at you very soon, I will see you then. Bye.